I guess too many musicians don't have insurance. You didn't know that, did you? We'll talk about it tonight. I'm talking about health insurance. You know, it's one of those products that I guess these days we don't take it for granted necessarily that folks have health insurance, because it's become so incredibly expensive, and now there's so many issues of politics that surround health insurance, both on a corporate level and an individual level and the like. But there are pockets of our society that just really have never had access to the kind of health coverage and health insurance that we all need. And I've always been kind of surprised by this, but the music world and the art world, for the most part, is sans the right kind of orientation and avenue to the right kind of health insurance. And so that's part of what we're going to discuss tonight. This is one of our programs where I will be without the rundown this evening because I am not here today. But it's timing that brings the content of this show, because this weekend there's an important seminar to help musicians and artists and people, you know, around that field to learn more about how they can obtain health insurance. First, let me, but I'm not bringing these guys in and not talking some music. So, I mean, for crying out loud, this is one of my favorite guys in Southern New England, no doubt, Steve Smith and the Nakeds. If you hear the radio show open, the rip-off rendition of Dan Yorke's State of Mind is sung by the guy who hardly needs any introduction, my friend Steve Smith. Good evening. Nice to see you, buddy.
Thank you for having us.
And introduce your music friend.
This is Donnie Culp. He is the sole force behind the Tune In, Tune Up project that we're working with, which is affiliated with the Rhode Island Music Hall of Fame. And Donnie played drums with me for 3 years, and he's a real good drummer, a real good musician. And he helped me to get on the committee for this project, and I'm glad to help out.
All right, so we're going to talk about this project. Why don't we do this? Let's tease a snippet, because there's a substantial conversation to be had here. Bottom line is, too many musicians, including yourself, for a long time, don't have health insurance.
That's correct.
And we're trying to fix that.
Right.
You're trying to fix that, and by relationship, I'm trying to help fix that by having them on the show. The Rhode Island Music Hall of Fame is kind of new.
It's in its third year. Well, this will be our fourth.
How in heaven's
fourth
name, with
induction.
all the tradition of music that this great state has had, do we? What?
You don't ask me. But
I mean, you've been doing music for what, 92, 93 years?
Yes.
And you couldn't figure out how to put a Hall of Fame together in your own honor, for God's sake?
I'll tell you what. Whoever put Medrick Belair was one of the archivalists he's the historian of Rhode Island, and he came up with this idea, and it's phenomenal. And the committee we have now, this year they got me involved in it, and now we're involved in this musician insurance thing. But if people haven't been to the Hall of Fame yet, which is in the Pawtucket Village, Main Street in Pawtucket, the Pawtucket Artist Village, it's phenomenal. It's actually a hall, and the displays there are incredible.
I mean, it's in the same place that Gina Raimondo made her her announcement. And don't worry, just because the landlord hasn't paid his property taxes doesn't mean that everything in that thing isn't good. We covered that on
Well, the
show.
displays will go if we have a problem.
But you know, that whole neighborhood down there is a really cool, eclectic type. There's some great places to see music, and we had the guys from the brewery here the other night. They're down the road, and they've got some great. You got to go in there and offer a smaller version of the band at the what's the place called, Jess? The Bucket Brewery. It's right down the corner from the village. But before we get into all of this kind of stuff, talk to me about what's going on with the Nakeds.
Well,
what's happening?
The Nakeds,
busy?
Yeah, we're doing okay. I mean, it's been a tough winter because of weather.
Yeah.
And we talk about live entertainment all the time now, and we talk about people going out and supporting live entertainment. And it's been tough over the last 2 years, but it's out there and it's still happening. We're still doing very well, and the summer's coming, thank God.
Well, it's amazing because one day I was playing golf over at the Lincoln Country Club, which has a very nice hall, but it's really no bigger than the studio room that we have here, maybe times 1.5. So I see this sign, Steve Smith and Naked is coming. I call my wife, what are we doing that day? Oh, we're going out of town. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go. But I'm asking the guys, and the thing sells out right away because it's like, 27 seats in the place. And you probably brought, yeah, I was thinking you brought the band there and probably blew the whole walls out. I mean, but what I was telling you, you'll bring that band just about anywhere.
It's all or none. It's all or none. It's the
big venues with thousands or 28 people if the price is right.
It's the A show or no show. That's what it's all about.
And you enjoy it.
I mean, I've been doing it for 40 years.
So you played with this guy for 3 years?
I did. My first major gig was with Steve, and I'm grateful for it. Learned a great deal.
3 years, how many years ago?
It was, 89, 91, 92.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I was a young whippersnapper.
Because I was going to say, none of us at this table are spring chickens, it seems to me, right? So you've been at it for a while.
I have.
And your background is what, with all the music that you've done?
Well, I'm a martial artist first and foremost, but I'm a professional musician as well.
I thought I felt safer.
Yeah,
there you go. Been running a karate studio since 1981. But
really?
I've also been playing drums since I've been 13. I'm now 52. And Stevie was my first main gig, but I play with John Cafferty and Gary Gramellini, and I have a great band called the 100-Watt Sons, which is actually fronted by the former singer of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So we're making a run at it. We got a song that charted and doing some touring this summer, so I'm really excited about it.
I mumbled before the show, but first of all, John Cafferty is one of my favorite bands, and Steve and I talked about this when we first got together, but my first date with my wife, we went to see John Cafferty at Riverside in Agawam, Massachusetts, and that's where she made the move.
It must have been 10 years.
So it was, and then they're the band behind one of my favorite movies, Eddie and the Cruisers.
Right on. Yep.
Which has a moment in it that is just extraordinary. It's actually a broadcast teaching moment. Now you can rent the movie for, I think, 99 cents for crying out loud. And someday I'll tell you about that in another episode. But so good for you. And so currently you're doing, in addition to the martial arts and everything, you're playing where currently?
With the 100-Watt Sons. And we play all over Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island. I'm going to be touring Europe this summer.
Wow.
Yeah, we're managed by David Krebs, who has managed Aerosmith and the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So we're taking a go at it. We're grabbing after the brass ring.
What a business.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
And the problem with it is that we're always on the go, and people say, how do you do it? How do you do it? Talk about road warriors. Band people, technicians, roadies, lighting guys, sound guys. They're all road warriors, and they don't get sick. They do, but they don't.
Right.
The show must go on. The show must go on. They won't admit it. And the other factor is there's a Peter Pan attitude of musicians.
Hold your thought, because that's where I want to center in. We'll come back, we'll talk about the culture, which is without health insurance and why, and then we'll have an expert in to kind of help along. And then there's a date, Sunday, the 23rd, that you got to be aware of. Stay with us, don't go anywhere. Welcome back in. The guy to your, well, he's on my right, your left, Steve Smith and the Nakeds, and Don Culp is a friend of his and a profound drummer, musician, who has a real story to tell here about, well, I've never had anybody bring their health identification cards to a broadcast as kind of proof positive of a success story. But you know what? It's easy to giggle about it, but it really is something that means a lot to you. We're talking about the Rhode Island Hall of Fame, and we're talking about a project, the Tune In, Tune Out project, which is designed to bring everybody into a little understanding about how they can access health insurance from the art and music world.
Break through the walls of the problem that is of getting health insurance.
All right, let me put up some information, because we're going to do it at the end of the show too, but I want to make sure we get it. We've got a big deal going on this weekend, Sunday. Can we throw that up, Steve, real quick? Thank you. The Rhode Island Musicians Health Awareness Program, Tune In, Tune Up, and the Health Source Rhode Island outreach team will be available. The informational enrollment workshop is going to go on. What this is really going to do, and our next guest in our final segment will kind of walk you through this a little bit, but this is a big deal coming up at the Blackstone River Theater in Cumberland on Sunday at 3 o'clock. So anybody in the art world, the music world, that's going, yeah, I don't have health insurance, this is a way to get an orientation. And it's important. Look, the Health Source Rhode Island thing, the politics of Obamacare, I'll keep aside for now. I mean, it is where the country is right now. There are some cost benefits in getting involved in the Rhode Island Health Exchange. There's some problems with it in terms of execution. But we'll leave it there, because it does at least provide access to people who have not had access to health insurance before. So tell your story. You come with this is your what card here?
Well, that's the Tune It In, Tune Up membership card. We've issued 250 of these so far to all musicians, and as Stevie said...
I don't know that you can actually see that, but it doesn't really matter other than to say he's got it right here.
Right.
But you brought your two, I'm grabbing these. Since you
Yeah,
brought,
man.
He brought, these are his health insurance cards, the same thing that everyone that has health insurance that puts in their wallet. You're proud of these.
Well, I am, Dan.
Because?
As a small business owner and a musician for, since 1981, I didn't have insurance. Now, I take good care of myself through my martial arts training, but it's a rough life. And so I'm 52 now, as I said, and I've been getting concerned about getting checked up, and I just couldn't afford it. So up to this point, I had no insurance. I went to this through the program and was able to get full health coverage. I'm a little ashamed to say that I, got free health coverage. I would have been happy to pay, but I don't really have a lot of money after expenses, so I qualified for free health care. But I'm honored, and I'm really excited about it, and I'd like to pass the word, because a lot of musicians, as Stevie will attest, don't think it's available. And we just kind of turn our back to it because we've had so many frustrations.
Well, look, there'll be people out there that in the liberal conservative debate that exists in America, they'll have differing thoughts on what you just said. However, there seems to me that there's a culture thing in the music world, regardless of means, orientation.
There's a cultural thing that musicians, they want to play they want to go out and play, they want to practice their trade, they want to do their thing. There's also an ignorance of it that they don't need it, and there's an embarrassment factor involved that they can't afford it because they don't make a lot of money. And then there's the Peter Pan syndrome, where we're never going to grow up, we're never going to get old. But then when that day comes, all of a sudden you say, uh-oh, I don't have anything to help me out here.
I think when you wear your sleeveless vest,
that's Peter Pan.
that is the indication that you don't think you're ever going to grow old. You still look good in it. I know I couldn't get away with it.
But the thing about it is like I said, band people and musicians are road warriors. The show must go on. Whether you're feeling good or bad, you're up there on stage performing every night. And then sooner or later it's going to break down. Thank God.
Right.
Donnie and I are both martial artists, and we've kept ourselves in shape. I've been an athlete all my life, but I have friends that never picked up a basketball, they never picked up a baseball or a baseball bat. They just want to play. They just want to play, and they don't want to be bothered with, why do I need health insurance?
Yeah, well, let's not kid ourselves. We're not just talking about pulled muscles and strained knees and backs and
We're
shoulders. We're talking about genetic diseases and da-da-da. I mean, you could be in great shape. We could all be at 52,
well,
but
I'd like
things
to
happen.
Tell one story about one friend of mine who was in the band before the Nakeds. He was my bass player, and when that band broke up, he started doing a DJ service because he loves music. So he started his own DJ service. He never had health insurance, never went to a doctor. At 52 years old, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Curable.
And by the time he got there, the doctor just said, it's too late. Where have you been? That's a curable disease. That's just ignorance, and stupidity. So we want to bring these people out of the dock and get them into the, it's there, it's affordable.
Yeah, between prostate and colon,
that's a curable disease.
You got to get a colonoscopy. All of us have had mine once. You got to get yours if you haven't had it.
Yep.
Get it done. And the prostate, that's at least at the beginning, it's just a little bit cough, and just get it done.
But imagine someone dying of that in this day and age. It's not. It's
Well, Dan, if I might add, one
Sure.
of the things that Steve and I were very conscious of is as we aged, we're doing more benefits now for musicians who either passed away or have a catastrophic illness. And that's what really started to bring us.
More of them that have passed away.
So the Tune In and Tune Up program is musicians' health awareness. So we're trying to not only help get people signed up, but just become more health conscious. We're planning seminars on holistic health. We're going to have an informational website. We already have it actually up at RhodeIslandMusicHallOfFame.com, which can steer people in the right direction.
I just think it's ironic that, in a good way, that a world that has been historically known, myth or reality, for drugs and booze and not treating yourself well.
We've always
now
put on the bottom rung.
all you old fart musicians are coming together going, you know what?
Yeah,
it's
man.
time to catch up here and do the right thing for our health, our souls,
Right
our
on.
minds, our bodies, right?
Because playing's
we're
more
always
important now, you know.
stereotyped. We're always stereotyped as the boozers, the drugs, the drug addicts, and everything else. When we went to get truck insurance years ago for our band, our classification as musicians was with the demolition squad on the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
You know what I mean? We had to prove ourselves worthy of truck insurance. You know.
Good effort. Last thought from you, because I'm going to bring on an expert to kind of talk everybody through this real quick.
Yeah, man, we'll just, check out the Tune In and Tune Up program. There's a lot of extra things going on, and we're very excited about it.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. And keep drumming. When we come back, a little bit of help as to how to get access. Stay with us. By the way, the day we recorded this was a couple of weeks ago. Long day. I think I've been saying tune in, tune out, and Catherine just caught me. Why didn't you catch me? What's the matter with you?
I told you I'm new to this.
Tune in, tune up. Now you get it. Tune in music, tune up, meaning tune up your thing.
Get your sleeveless
Good
on.
catch, Kath. Way to go.
Get your sleeveless on.
My goodness gracious. You are you're a health professional. In a way.
In a number of things. Most recently, I've been involved in healthcare issue and personal wellness. I've done a number of things over the course of my career, always sort of focused on trying to have a positive impact on social issues and the betterment of our community and our individuals. So, but most recently.
And
healthcare.
you're hooking. Steve, how did you get together with Catherine?
I was introduced through Tune In, Tune Up.
Tune up. Tune in, tune
I was
up.
introduced to Catherine.
Okay, so you've been involved in this thing.
Only
this
most
whole
recently.
concept.
I actually connected with Don. I had read about the program in the newspaper and was very impressed. In my most recent role, one of the things I was doing was trying to increase healthcare awareness and access for underserved populations, and to be able to read about the music community, and Don and the Rhode Island Music Hall of Fame in particular kind of taking this by the tail on their own. And so successfully. I was greatly impressed with their mission and their efforts, and reached out to say, how can I help you achieve your goals, and what can we do?
Catherine's referring to Don Cope, who was in our last couple of segments, a musician who at 52 years of age is newly enrolled in a health insurance program through the exchange here in the state, and walks around with his insurance cards as if they're medals of honor, and I understand why, because in a lot of ways they kind of feel like they are, and a relief to him, no doubt.
Relief to
Yeah.
yes,
And relief to everybody. So your background, as you've explained, is in healthcare access. I mean, you worked for an organization that was on the ground this way, correct?
Yep. Most recently, I was at a community health center, which, for those who aren't familiar, there are a number of them throughout Rhode Island, over a dozen different locations, and their mission is to provide high-quality primary medical, dental, and behavioral health care to all. And that means, any age, income level, male, female, and more importantly, insured or uninsured. And they've been here a long time. They'll continue to be here to provide these services, but they're also now, with the Affordability Care Act, also one of the locations where you can go and enroll. And that's actually where Don and I first, had a chance to sort of meet up and talk about this. But there are just a number of folks in Rhode Island who really are chipping away at this issue of, recognizing, nothing pains me more, somebody who needs or desires health care but doesn't realize it's there.
Put the full screen, Kevin, if you would please, put the full screen information up there, because I want to make sure we get this. The idea that you've got to have an enrollment informational workshop at the Blackstone River Theater on Sunday at 3 o'clock, it's interesting. I would think that there are, an infinite number of places, I should say, sectors of our society that can use the same kind of enrollment workshop. It seems to me, even if you're not a musician.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not,
I mean, this is you guys are
we're
working on
emphasizing
musicians.
because
But someone's going to be able to. This information is available for everybody.
for everyone.
Yes, and I think there's two challenges to this. That one, there still is an issue of getting that information out. And absolutely, even if you go to the Tune In and Tune Up website, we will direct you to Health Source Rhode Island as one of the means of enrolling, the different community navigator sites. There's like 4 or 5 different ways an individual can access and view their options for health insurance. This particular enrollment workshop this Sunday on the 23rd, we're putting together because we're recognizing the music community in particular, as you mentioned earlier, has long been truly and literally suffering for their art. And that despite all of the press, unfortunately a lot of it negative, about this availability, the message still hasn't reached this community about the possibility.
Why?
I
told you the 3 reasons.
No, that's right.
Ignorance, Peter Pan.
And I
The
think
thing is, we got to get them to the trough.
So you're knocking heads a little bit. No, you really are. You're knocking heads inside your own industry.
Oh yeah, of course we are.
Yeah.
And they just don't think it's there for them. You know.
And again, I think that's why Don is such a great example, not only because of his passion for this issue overall, but for his own personal experience to say it really can happen. And if you talk to him, how it's transformed his life after 25 years.
All right, so the summary of this is if you're a musician, if you're an artist of any kind, friend, family, whatever, come to this event at the Blackstone River Theater. Is that without reading the
Correct,
thing?
yep.
And it's 3 o'clock. There's more information at the Rhode Island Music Hall of Fame.com website. But it's 3 o'clock on Sunday. Get down there. Stop playing for a minute and get down there.
Put your guitar down.
Put your guitar down and.
We'll have professionals to walk you through the system.
Got it. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Thank
Good
you
to see
so
you.
much.
Always.
Yeah.
Your state of mind when we come back. Stay with us. Tonight's theme, this idea that musicians don't have health insurance, I mean, I get it because they're independent contractors at best. So it's a Friday night. You may be on your way out to see a show, or this weekend you're going to see a show. Remind the guy or the gal that you're enjoying playing for you that they ought to get some health insurance and go down into that Blackstone River Theater at 3 o'clock on Sunday and learn all about it. Your feedback on this program is really important to me. Your state of mind offers you a chance to leave a voicemail, send an email, or tweet or Facebook post, and we'll take your thoughts and put them right here because I want to hear what you're thinking. 228-1886. I like the voicemails. They're more fun. All right, we got to roll. It's another weekend, and spring is sprung officially now, hasn't it? Yeah. By the way, we'll be calling the championship game for the high school basketball tournament tomorrow night on WPRV AM 790, and I'll see you Monday. Bye.